3 weeks from today, we will stage the most important presidential election since the Civil War. 3 weeks until that election, and one candidate has spent the last 48 hours insisting there is already voter fraud happening at polling places that do not yet exist. 3 weeks until that election, which that candidate says is rigged, unless he wins, because of voter fraud, which has happened 31 times in the last 1 billion votes cast in this country. 3 weeks until that election, and the leaders of one party are still chained of their own volition to the captain of the Titanic. 3 weeks until that election, and their candidate has shown himself more and more, hour by hour, day by day, to be manifestly unstable, sexually criminal, deranged, bigoted, and despotic. Yet, to paraphrase Winston Churchill, these so-called leaders have been given the choice between shame and loss of office. They have chosen shame. They will get loss of office later. But it is not to them I want to speak at this 3-week mark before the election. It is to those who will vote for Trump. More importantly, it is to those who may vote for Trump. To those who, bluntly, can still hear me. If you're thinking of voting for Donald Trump, I'm sorry this country and your life in it are not what you thought they would be, nor what you thought was promised to you. I'm sorry that you think you have been denied something by Americans who don't look like you or pray like you. I would remind you that when your grandfather or great-grandfather or whoever came here, and whenever they came here, they were blamed identically because they were Catholic or Italian or Irish or just foreign. I do not doubt you have grievances, nor that our system of government has been so overcome by the political industry that you see no chance that you will get what you really want. I have felt that way too nearly every day of my adult life. But I'm not here to agree or disagree with your grievances. I am here to urge you to recognize that what you see as your solution will in fact end with your slavery. Because you know this man. You have always known this man. Voting for Donald Trump is like not getting the car you want, so you instead take the car you have and you drive it into the wall while you are in it, while your family is in it, while your country is in it. This election is not a question of policy or political correctness or rebellion against the machine. This is sanity versus insanity and freedom versus a police state. This man is crazy. We have indications that he is violent against women. He has been violent since he was a child. He hates and disparages people based on how they look or where their parents are from. And anyone and anything who goes against him is not treated the way you would treat them or it. He does not move on. He does not work harder. He does not find another way. He says it's all fixed. It's a plot. It's a lie. It's the fault of the Mexicans. It means war. He has uncontrollable anger, and you want to give him nuclear weapons. You know this man. You have always known this man. He is the lying used car salesman across town. He is the contractor who puts a hole in your wall, then vanishes. He is the fast-talking huckster on the late-night TV commercial. He is the husband or the wife or the girlfriend or the boyfriend who promised you forever and ran off with your heart and your money and your life. You may not like Hillary Clinton or her policies or anything about her, but if she is elected, you will have 4 years to find a presidential candidate of your own whose true goal is not to rob you blind. And 4 years from now, you will still have a presidential election and a vote and a country. Trump will give nothing to you but shame and regret and shackles. He will take and he will keep whatever he can get his hands on. It is the story of his life. He boasts about doing that. He says giving employees a paycheck is the equivalent of your neighbor sacrificing his son in the war. You really think he will give you anything? You really think he will give you a better job, more money? From women to business, this man is grabbed first and asked questions later, and you know that. And in the rubble of your life in a political science fiction nightmare version of a fascist America made real, this will be on your conscience. It will be your fault, not Trump's. He is merely the con man who is fattening you up for the kill. He ends his appearances with the Rolling Stones song, "You Can't Always Get What You Want." He is telling you in advance. How much more warning does he have to give you? You know this man. You have always known this man. There's been a lot of time wasted on trying to understand the nature of the strategy Donald Trump has used since his profile as a potential serial sexual criminal began to emerge 2 Fridays ago. Well, there is no strategy. This is the point. This is not strategy. This is him. He has been acting in this campaign, especially in the last 2 weeks, as if he has already been elected, already is the president, and that the rest of us are just annoying him by asking him about these harrowing tapes and these harrowing accusations. He behaves as if we are being rude to him by not simply agreeing with him and praising his countless amazing skills and wonderful accomplishments and his vast piles of money. As if on your deathbed or after it, the question you will ask or that will be asked of you is, how much money did you make? Donald Trump is defending himself by claiming that his victims were too unattractive to attack. Not as some kind of political strategy, not as some kind of clever answer. He is doing this because that is who he is, and that is what he expects to be able to do as president. The presidency would be the same as his current life. 70 years of hedonism and selfishness and abuse, except backed up by the power of the presidency and the military. He has been the dictator in his life, and now he intends to become the dictator in your life. You know this man. You have always known this man. You have seen him, and you have seen him recently. He is Bill Cosby. He is O.J. Simpson. He is Bernie Madoff. In nearly every individual thing Trump says to you, he is lying, distorting, rationalizing, contorting, blaming, self-martyring. But in one sense, he's the most truthful candidate we have ever had. The awful, dishonest, egomaniacal, dangerous, hateful candidate that he shows the world every day, that's really him. He is not putting on an act. He is not hiding anything more than the details. He is every day showing you his soul. The monster you see is the monster you will get. Only this monster will now have the power to issue executive orders and to pull that funny guy Jose you know who works at the restaurant or on the farm out of his house and throw him into a detention camp. And if you protest, he'll have the power to throw you in the detention camp alongside Jose. Elect him, and you'll spend the rest of your lives trying to undo your vote. You already know this man promised to honor the outcome of this election if he loses, and then said he was backing out of that promise. You have already heard him spend hours explaining that if he loses, it will not be because he and you have been rejected. It will be because he and you have been defrauded. What makes you think he believes in the things about this country that you love, that you have believed in and depended on and taken for granted since you were a kid? What makes you think he would not say in his inaugural address, "The people have spoken, so there's no need for any more elections"? Why on earth would you think that having gotten you to give him your vote, to give him your money, to give him your freedom, that he would ever again bother to ask you what you want? Why would he listen to you? Why would he do anything for you? Who would make him do anything for you? If you want to vote for him because nobody pushes him around, what are you going to do when he does something you don't like? What makes you think that if you dare to raise a complaint that he would not treat you as he has treated those who during the campaign have opposed him or criticized him or merely pointed out what he has said? You may cheer now when the reporters at his rallies are booed and threatened. You high-five when somebody sucker punches a protester. How do you think President Trump will treat you if you feel like he's broken his promise to you? How do you think President Trump will treat you if you do not jump when he says jump? How do you think President Trump will treat you if you do not applaud when he says applaud? He has already shown you how. You know this man. You have always known this man. You know that this is the kind of man which oppressed people around the world have spent their lives trying to escape from and have lost their lives staging revolutions against. Elect him and you are signing the death warrant to your own freedoms. But even if you think he's going to lose, but you must vote for him anyway in protest, you will have still opened Pandora's box in this country, because this might be the most skilled and dangerous con man ever to rise up to try to cheat us out of the democracy you and I both cherish. But he might not be. The next one might be far worse and far more skilled. And whichever is the case, he certainly will not be the last of the con men. And when the first one finally soft sells enough of your friends to gain that sacred office of the presidency, you, as much as I, will be at his mercy. If Trump merely does well while losing this election, it will be open season for demagogues and fascists and white supremacists to try to take over this country. Your country. You have already seen it diagrammed for you. Donald Trump has shown you his math. He has gotten this far, gotten to within 3 weeks of the presidency, based on summoning hate and fear and directing it towards a group. Mexicans, Muslims, Jews, liberals, reporters, doesn't matter which group. And nothing guarantees that the next time it won't be your group. You know this man. You have always known this man. And among all the things you know about this man, out of all that has gone on since Trump started it in June of last year, one statement he made should jump out and grab you by the throat, and it should ask you very softly, but very firmly, why would you ever consider turning over this country to this man? Why would you ever consider encouraging his type just by giving him your vote? When the woman on the plane 35 years ago, Jessica Leeds, accused him of groping her, he tried to defend himself not by getting a believable witness, not by proving he was not on that flight, not by the way you would defend yourself against such a charge if it were not true and your whole life was at risk because somebody had slandered you. No. Trump said you should know he didn't do it because, quote, believe me, she would not be my first choice. That I can tell you. She would not be my first choice. So ask yourself one question before you vote for this man. Who would be his first choice? Your daughter? That's the closer. I'm Keith Olbermann. Watch this space.